All right, so as you can see, we have a new intro. And shout out to I'm Justin Page. He is an Astros fan, but he's one of the good ones. I've already told him this, and I'm letting the rest of you guys know. At I'm Justin Page, give him a tweet. Say, hey, good job on the intro. He made me an intro for free, and I very much appreciate that. So I'm pretty much leaning that he's like the only Astros fan who's able to watch this because he kind of contributed to it, and I agreed to it. So all other Astros fans, like if you were not Justin and you're an Astros fan, click off this podcast immediately.
Alt F4.
You're not allowed to continue on. That's the basic point of this. So you guys know, if you've watched our previous episodes, we always got to start out with a little drunkenness. I apologize for the last episode. I got a little bit too drunk, but hopefully Chav here held you guys over. I could barely form a sentence at the end of the last podcast. Here you go.
Really? Are you serious? I can't.
No, I was terrible. I was so bad.
At all.
I was so bad. All right, let's go.
I don't remember.
Okay, so what are we going to take a shot to?
Let's take a shot to the declination of the market. Here we go.
That's an awesome thing to take a shot to.
Ooh, that was disgusting. I feel like it goes.
All right.
Here you go.
We are now ready to podcast.
Oh my god, it hurts.
All right. What should we talk about today? I think the first thing that I need to kind of address is I know I've been pimping the Greg Bird thing, but Greg Bird is not ready. You got to realize he's like a star, and this is a low-class podcast. So we're not quite ready to talk to Greg Bird yet.
We told him no, he's unreliable. So
Greg Bird's schedule is a little bit unreliable.
Tonight
he gave us some. We could have done it tonight, but he gave us some parameters that didn't really work for us. So we said no.
He said, "Fuck you. You're not even that good.
Let's go to it maybe next week, and we'll see where we are from there." Greg Bird is still lined up. We are still going to hear from Greg Bird. Okay, I just want to get that out there for all the fans who are just excited to hear what Greg Bird has to say going into the 2018 season. So let's go into this a little bit then.
Lord.
I'm a drunken Yankee fan, right?
He's an idiot then.
So, yeah, okay, you can equate the two.
Right?
Same difference. All right, so just for everybody at home, because not everybody is a Yankee fan at home, so they might not have experience with drunken Yankee fans, but you're a big fan of the A's, a big fan of another baseball team. What's it like watching a Yankee game with a drunken Yankee fan? Like, can you kind of flesh out that experience so just for people who know?
The only reason you're alive is because we're friends.
Okay.
That's how obnoxious it is.
So do you think like only other Yankee fans could stand to watch a Yankee game with a drunken Yankee fan? Or do you think like most fans of other teams would have a...
More like don't bother.
Don't bother. That's Oakland Chav's input.
I mean, it's dumb.
What's dumb about it? I don't understand.
There's very little rationale behind it.
I don't understand what's so bad about it.
It's the worst experience of your life. Yes, so getting your head chopped off and like experience it rolling around all by itself for like 15 seconds while you're still alive.
That's a preferable experience.
That's preferable to that. It's horrible.
Are Yankee fans the worst fan base out of anybody?
There's people that are delusional.
Delusional, like Astros fans.
I know.
They're a little bit delusional right now.
Okay, just delusional. No, I would say more like Kansas City fans because they're.
they thought they were hot shit.
They're delusional.
They fell off the map so fast.
The Astros have the Astros players are better than the Royals players were, and B, the Astros are willing to pay to keep those players, so therefore that the time frame, I don't want to say dynasty because that's not what it is. The time frame of greatness was going to be there based upon ability and based upon longevity and keeping the team together. Whereas that was never going to happen in Kansas City, and no one ever expected it to happen in Kansas City. It just wasn't. the guys were gonna leave. Think about this. They could have won with that team if it weren't for Bumgarner, and that team wasn't that good.
And you know what? That's what I have to say about a lot of this stuff.
What a shitty World Series.
Let me tell you guys, and wake up call for anybody who doesn't realize this already.
If Bumgarner didn't do that, that World Series would be like one of the most forgettable World Series in existence. The Giants are bad champions.
Let me say something for a second here. I think this is what people fail to remember when it comes to baseball, is that it's an extremely probabilistic sport. So the best team doesn't always win in baseball. I think that is something we need to accept. Just because a team wins a World Series doesn't mean they're the best team that year.
No, I feel like a lot of people understand that, but when it comes to their own team...
When it comes to fandom, no, they get
that's
really...
What I'm saying. When it comes to their own team, they don't want to admit it.
They do not want to admit it. Absolutely.
But on the whole, I feel like if your team isn't touching the subject, almost all baseball fans can be objective.
When it comes to the American League, you could argue Astros or Indians. One of those teams were the best.
Sure, but when it comes to the National League,
arguable. There's no argument.
That's what I mean.
No argument. I agree.
Honestly, and I feel like if you want to take it a step further,
American League has two teams, but I really think it goes Dodgers at the top, and then Indians, then Astros. I really think those are the top three teams of last year.
I think the Dodgers were built for like the Dodgers are built to win in the long haul.
Yeah.
And that may make them your view of them being a better team overall skewed, but in that sense of being a better team, because look, the Dodgers last year, I mean, they had like 8 starting pitchers that you could see being in their 5-man rotation. I need a drink. He's gonna pour me one.
The Yankees are the greatest team of all time.
Oh my lord! Pour me a drink.
I'm only gonna pour you a drink when we get into the topic.
Pour me a drink. I wish there were just like a drink in my cup.
All right, so I know we didn't get to the topic of the day yet, but the topic is coming up. So
there is no topic of the day. We're deciding.
Oh my God! Shut up!
Oh my God! Shut up! You're giving it away.
We're running out of alcohol. We drank this entire bottle up until now. So just in case you guys don't know, we got shots to do, which I will pour the shots right now.
Oh my God, it's going everywhere.
Those are the shots.
Oh my God, it's going everywhere.
And then this is Chav's.
If I have to get a beer, I'll just get a beer. And see, I'll just get a beer. That's what I was saying. I will get a beer.
We ran out. No way.
Oh my God.
No way. Would you rather have a mixed drink? We need to have shots, right? So
just pour.
We need to save those.
Soda in there because I won't drink that by itself.
This is my mixed drink.
Oh my God.
So we got. I should get a bigger bottle of brandy than that, I guess.
It's too hard. They don't sell it.
All right. We are,
Oh, that's pretty good.
I guess running out of shit for, we have some vodka in the cabinet. This is like a dire situation for the Drunken Yankees Fan Podcast. Weird.
Oh my God, you just called it that. You have to say that sentence all over again.
I'm going to try the rest of this, and we're going to talk about baseball.
That's not true. We talked about Survivor for like an hour and a half.
Well, no, I tried
before this.
But then we're going to do like a shot. That's our last hurrah for drinks. We got some pop going. So,
drugs. So I can do better than that other fucker with drugs and alcohol in my system.
Are you talking about me or are you talking about John Boy's sidekick?
Both of you.
Both of us?
Actually, all three of you.
I don't doubt it.
All three of you.
So this is what we'll talk about this time. I think Electronic Strike Zone, I think, is kind of a
20 years in the future? Yeah, me too.
So I'm hoping it's like sooner than that. You know what I mean?
Nah, man. It's too much like rules and regulations for sooner than that.
Well, there's got to be a way to just implement it.
You can't, because you have to, like, in order to just implement it and be like, well, that's that, hands clean.
Yeah.
You have to do so much, and it's like, I don't know, you have to take measurements of all the players, and it's just, there's so much shit incorporated that you can't just, like,
be like one off season, be like, yep, it's done. We're done. It's done. It's here. It's just too hard. It's too hard. Like you need like testing and control groups, and you can't just add it to the major league level without having that. And
well, don't you think
while there have been testing systems out there, I mean, you're not actually testing it out on major league talent, and by major league talent I also mean just minor league talent, just anything in the major leagues.
What is so horrible about an electronic strike zone? What's the issue? I don't get it.
I don't know.
I think the big issue is
Honestly,
the umpires do not want it. The umpires want to be in control of the game. I fucking hate umpires. I think umpires are fucking useless and disgusting.
I don't think there really is a strong position for saying, like, keep them. Like, what's stopping from implementing in the minors now and, say, having it in the majors in 3 years? Like, I don't think there is a strong argument against it. I mean, like, people will say the human element factor, but, like, that's what I'm saying. That's not really like a strong, that's not really a strong argument.
Very weak argument. Why would you want the human element being,
why do you want
the strike zone?
Yeah.
The human element
why
is
do you
like
want the human,
pitcher pitching and the hitter hitting.
Why do you want
the human element is not the size of the strike zone. That is
why should the human element be the
ridiculous.
Rules? The rules should be the most objective thing out there.
The rules should be the most rigid, non-human element.
In order to be 100% objective, you need to take it out of human hands.
The human element is the players. That is that is the point.
That's what I've always. That's been my argument. I've never honestly heard when people say, "Well, we got to have the human element." I've never heard a counterpointer say, "Well, the people are the." So that's always been my own personal stance, and I've always thought that was a pretty good one. But I mean, like, if you don't want that to be your stance either way, I mean, there's really no argument against. I mean, who doesn't want the call to be right? I mean, that's the whole. I mean, think about other sports, and even now baseball.
I want the call to be right.
The whole point is that you want the call to be right. I mean, that's the purpose behind instant replay. So, if we could have the call right immediately on a ball strike, why wouldn't we have it? I mean, we already have instant replay now in baseball, where we want the call right. So why not if we can make it an immediate decision on balls and strikes, why not have it?
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like the ball strike thing is so overplayed the last couple of years because I don't think technology is quite there. I think it's really close, but I don't think it's quite there. So that leaves the argument up for talk. But I mean, really, I don't see an argument against it now. And the only argument I see is the human element. But
the emotional arguments that don't make sense.
The human element.
I would say.
No.
It's just arguments that kind of don't hold up. If we have replay calls at first and second and a third, then I mean I don't see why we wouldn't have.
Honestly, that's something
we would have an electronic strike zone. I feel like it's the same thing. If you want the calls right, you have a replay on base because it makes sense. But when it comes to electronic strike zone, we can have it way better.
It's the same argument that we want we want the call on the field to be the correct one.
Right.
Well, if we want it correct, if we want it to be the correct penalty or the not correct penalty, either correct first down or not first down, or correct safe call at first or correct home run call, then why wouldn't we want something on the insignificant scale to be correct, especially when that call, like I said, the first call, ball or strike, or even second ball or strike call, each one of those changes the mindset of the pitcher versus hitter battle. Like if you actually understand baseball, you understand that each at bat between the pitcher and hitter is like a mini chess match. I mean, it's a game that the pitcher and the hitter play, and the pitcher is playing it not just against that hitter, but the pitcher's playing it against all the hitters in the lineup. That's why if you're a pitcher, you want to be successful in throwing just your fastball changeup first time through, maybe the occasional off-speed pitch, because you're playing the long game, and that is how pitchers think. They pitch when starting pitchers pitch for the long game, and if you know how to actually pitch a well-pitched game, you can't show your cards too early, and throwing your moneymaker curveball in the first inning is not a way to throw not a way to throw a 9-inning shutout.
No, right.
It's not. It's just not. Ask any good starting pitcher in baseball. That's just not how. That's not the layout of a game for any guy. It never is.
No, nobody ever goes into a game thinking like, I want to bring my best.
Yeah, in the first inning. Exactly. Yeah,
no,
that's the super simplified way to say it. He's right. Yeah. There's no one in any sport is like, oh yeah, I want to bring my best in the fucking first quarter. Like no, man. You gradualize into it.
Totally.
You gradually become greater, and you use your lesser stuff till it doesn't work, and then you use your medium stuff till it doesn't work, and then you use your best till it doesn't work, and hopefully that's the end of the game.
You're trying to hold your cards as long as possible, and
exactly, man.
Hopefully that lasts for 9 innings.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would say I would go maybe it's not a step further, but I think it's a step further, saying I'm going to go into this game thinking I'm going to pitch 9 innings. And so,
well, that's what the goal. That's the goal of every starting pitcher should be.
Your starting pitcher should say, "I'm going to pitch 9 innings."
Naturally, actually, I mean, if you're a fifth starter, you should be like,
"Oh, well, right."
Like, I want to go 6 innings.
But I mean, if you're the best of the best, and you're like a starter, and you're going
honestly,
in,
like you want to
starting Game 7 of the World Series. Say you're saying games. I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Either way, it doesn't matter. You want to win the game. You want to win the game.
You shouldn't have to worry about a call being against you, a ball or strike.
That's what this whole thing is about.
When just because you're trying. Here's the deal. You already have a hard enough time as a player, hitter, or pitcher to play the chess match against the hitter or pitcher that you're facing. You don't need a human element of, oh, well, I know that this umpire calls balls outside and strikes, and I know he calls strikes.
I don't know what my hitter's thinking about that.
I know that
sorry, dude. That's fucking
his strike zone is a little bit off, so if it's in, it may be a ball, even though it's a strike.
What if
and
people
if it's
find
out,
fun
it's
about that?
Definitely not. Yeah, I know.
What if people find fun about that? I don't get it. Like, why do you want to preserve that? I would rather have it be rigid. This is it, and not the, oh, well, it's a big fun guessing game. It should be,
I know my ability, and I know this is a ball or strike, and should I go after it or not? Because this pitcher threw a pitch, I know that it's a strike, but I'm not good at it, so I'm going to check. Or, oh my God, this is a ball, but the ump might call it a strike, so I better try and foul it off. Like, no, man, because I'm going to ground into a double play on something like that, and I shouldn't have to swing at it in the first place.
What if what if you're considering the umpire and it's like, I like this team and I don't like this team?
That's what I just. Oh,
what about that?
Forget that.
Okay,
honestly, that's a whole dynamic.
That's a whole dynamic.
That's a whole dynamic that you try not to even think of.
But look,
because that's like completely
what if it has
unjustified.
What if it has nothing to do with the team, but what if it has to do with the player?
Umps used to defer sometimes to hitters in the essence that this hitter, he's so good at seeing balls and strikes.
Yeah,
I'm going to let him choose
like
his
Jeter,
balls and strikes.
Right?
No, not even Jeter to the essence that it was with Bonds.
Yeah.
If Bonds didn't swing at a pitch,
it's probably
an umpire called it a ball.
It's probably a ball.
The only time an umpire called a strike against him more often, for the most part, was if he swung at it. And that's what I'm saying is that your argument on that, in a sense, is totally true because that used to happen all the time. Is that pitchers? Umpires used to defer to players for one reason or another, or not defer to players for one reason or another, and that, in essence, shouldn't be allowed. I mean, just because this guy is so good at hitting home runs and so good at the strike zone, I won't disagree that honestly the umps were probably right in just deferring to Barry Bonds.
Totally,
I'm just saying that whether it's right or wrong, it shouldn't be happening. Because
it shouldn't be.
I'm sure that Barry Bonds was right 98% of the time, but they shouldn't be deferring to his, because look, he's not the umpiring. He's not the umpiring, the person umpiring. He's not the ex facto person that puts the stamp on it. Like he's just a player. Umpires have the same problem, whether it's their own personal issues or reacting off another person's reaction.
They're not machines.
They're not machines. They're people. So no matter how perfect they are, at some point the imperfection of being a human is going to come down on them, whether it's their own emotional or their own counter reaction to their reaction, or it's their counter reaction to the other human reaction, which is the hitter or the pitcher. Whether a pitcher, and usually it goes based off the hitter, and that's where I brought up the Barry Bonds thing, was the reaction to whether it was a strike or ball. It used to be for a long time. It was like that. If Barry Bonds didn't swing at it, it was a ball. If he did swing at it, it was a strike, and that was the only way to get a strike on him was if he swung at it. But Barry Bonds, if he did swing, if it was close, he was going to swing at it because he was going to put it in the seat.
A lot of people have gut feelings about umpires, and I really feel like they are going off of gut feeling themselves. I really feel like, if you're a hitter and an umpire, say it's completely their fault. The umpire calls a ball a strike. It was clearly a ball, but he called a strike in the moment, but he knows in his own mind that it was actually a ball, and he fucked it up. And he may try to make a makeup call later. We see that. We see that in basketball all the time.
That's another great point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he may be trying to make a makeup call to do that, and this is the thing that really fucks it up, and why we should have an electronic strike zone, because you can't have this element in it. But basically, if an umpire is feeling that way, where he feels like at the time he believes in his call, but maybe he was like, oh shit, actually that was kind of a different call. What if the fucking hitter is like, it's all right, I just want to know where the strike zone is. Like, is that where the strike zone is? Or, is it going to be this way or that way? And I'm willing to work with you.
Was the umpire going to be like, yeah, bro, that was just a makeup call from like 2 innings ago?
Well, no, he's going to say,
fuck you.
He's going to say, no, man, he's going to say like, sorry, that was, I'm a little bit outside, even though, I don't know.
Honestly, the best course of action to avoid any of that and any perception of wrongdoing is to just eliminate that whole factor as it is. I mean,
yeah.
If we had electronic umpires, Andres Galarraga would have a perfect game. You just put it that way, dog.
Dude, the Tiger.
Yeah, because Jim Joyce, he fucked it up. And
dude,
honestly, if Jim Joyce were still umpiring to this, if Jim Joyce were umpiring to this day, he would never make that mistake ever again. He would go to replay whatever. But
dude,
would never. Ever happen now. Ever. I mean, there's no ever.
Of that?
Oh, he cried in the post-game press conference. The umpire in the post-game press conference cried because he knew the moment, once he made the call and they got together and confirmed the call or whatever, like a batter later, he knew he fucked up.
Dude.
And he knew, there was no way around it. Like, he knew he fucked up, and there's nothing
everybody
about
does.
It. Well, everyone knew. I mean, yeah. I mean, the guy was out. The guy was out by like 3 steps. I mean, fuck.
Not 3 steps.
It was
less than 1 step, but
it was like a step and a half.
It was a step. A step.
That's how much I'm over exaggerating.
But dude,
it was so obvious that it felt like 3 steps.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it felt like 3 steps, but
that's what I'm saying.
It was like a step. It was obvious. Even he knew it. I mean, there's the only reason this guy doesn't have that stat is because it got taken away from him from umpires. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, but look, there is. I want to point this out because there will be someone that points it out. There's probably a perfect game that would not have been thrown had we had perfect umpires. But I'm not saying
that's
that.
Just as bad.
Obviously, but
that's just as bad because now you have a perfect game recorded that isn't actually a perfect game.
I understand. I'm just saying that I want to point that out, that I understand that, because who knows? He may not have even been in that situation to get the perfect game, because he could have gotten calls earlier that created the situation.
I just want a system that lets perfect games be perfect games.
I just want a system that is fair to both. Be careful between both the hitter and the pitcher. They're fucking wobbling, shaking like this on the fucking edge of the chair.
Because I hit my knee on the fucking chair.
You saw the fucking thing. Yeah,
it was like.
There's just no reason to have it be fucked up. You might as well just have it be justified from all angles, and if whatever happens in baseball history happens, then it happens, but there's no reason we should be questioning anything because of human error. We shouldn't remember.
They're enforcing bullshit rules that shouldn't be bullshit.
You just couldn't fucking learn from your own fucking mistake, could you? You fucking just couldn't just shut up for a second and just shut your fucking mouth.
They didn't even see what happened though. I knocked the thing over and our shot fell. Oh shit.
Not mine. No. Yeah, I was gonna say not mine, but it is mine.
It is his.
You're a fucking dick.
Yeah, I knocked over Top Shot. If you want to see Top Shot, it's
it's empty now, bitch.
Yeah, it's empty.
Cocksucker.
We had it both right here, and I was like, "Hell, I'm talking about baseball." And yeah. I didn't think we were going to take those shots anyway, to be honest. I mean,
I was totally ready to take that shot.
Were you? I was not.
I was,
Dude,
and then
I
I was
wasn't
ready, and
because-
then I was ready to take a break because I can't stand these motherfuckers. Talking shit on the viewer.
Good job. There's no break. They're just ending the podcast at this point.
I'm gonna send that to him.
I was. We have a lot of other
a little
people.
drunk.
We have a lot of other people. Yeah, clearly. We are a drunken baseball fan podcast.
I'm gonna take a break because I want a cigarette.
We're about to do a break.
a little cigarette.
The break to you fans is not gonna feel like anything because it's just gonna be one cut to another. Look, your head gets to cover up all that Yankee propaganda in the background. Dude, come on, dude.
I can't reach
Stop it.
I can't reach
I'm sorry, the A's beat the
I can't
Yankees in the
reach
2001 ALDS.
Yeah, but they suck either way.
You motherfuckers, stop that.
Well, you brought it up. Now I'm mad.
No, stop it.
Oh my god, you hung it up there.
I did.
You're a piece of shit!
Fuck you. It's staying up there.
Oh!
Alright, so
I'm gonna drink this whole thing in anger.
you could. It wouldn't do anything to you. Okay, so
What do you mean it wouldn't do anything to me? It would fuck me up. Are you serious?
Fireball. Come on.
It's still fucking 35% alcohol.
That's fucking nothing.
It's still the
It's
same
nothing.
percentage as vodka.
That's nothing. It's bullshit.
You realize it's only 2% off for vodka, right? This is 33.
You
vodka,
realize
35.
that it's Fireball, right?
It's still just because it tastes good doesn't mean that it's gonna fuck you up.
Doesn't mean it's blah, blah,
All right. I'm gonna speak into the fake microphone. Look how it doesn't change anything going on right now. I don't see it
Fuck
because it's
you.
all fake.
This is my microphone, dude.
I can't accept your opinion and your point of view as fact because
That's fine.
look, you're a Yankees fan, so clearly it's faulty in some regard. That's for all you non-Yankee fans out there. Sorry, Mike. I do love you a lot. You're fucking awesome. But sorry.
Which team's got more?
No one. That doesn't matter.
Which team has? Yeah.
Shut up.
Which team has more wins
Shut
next
up.
year? 2018. What was their record in 2018
The Indians are gonna have more wins than the A's and the Yankees.
combined?
No, well, not combined. That's stupid. No one's gonna have more combined wins than like two teams. You can make the two shittiest teams in baseball, and no one's gonna have more combined wins than them. The two shittiest teams will not beat any team will always beat any team in baseball.
Okay, like what? Like the Giants and the Tigers?
Well, think about this. What's the most wins for any team in any year?
55.
Okay, no, that's the least. I'm talking about the most. The most wins by any team in a year.
105 or 102, 101.
What?
The most
The most wins for a team ever in a year.
114.
All right, whatever.
The
We'll
98
say
Yankees.
114. All right, we'll say 114.
Well,
That's not true, but let's just say 114.
That was the 98 Yankees. I mean, maybe it was the 27 Yankees who scored
Oh my god.
or who won
Yes.
they didn't win more than 114, but they played less than 162 games back then. Oh, the Mariners.
Okay,
the Mariners.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Do you want to fucking only show your Yankee knowledge, or do you want to show
Shut
baseball?
up!
Thank you. I
It
don't
was
want to
just-
say it, but come on. Like,
It was
fuck.
just
I
Yankees.
just said so. Just ruin the whole segment. Fuck. Fuck. Come on, man. Like, you know, you're better than that.
I know I'm better
believe
than
in
that.
you.
I know the Mariners in
Okay.
2001.
All right,
Sure. Okay, there you
so
Get back to what you were saying.
all right, so how many wins is the most? How many wins has the most team ever gotten in the regular season?
120.
Okay, so what would that require the two worst teams ever to get?
I guess 40 or 50.
Oh my god. I'm trying to help you out, but you're making yourself look stupid. He means 60. He means that you got to get 60 or lower twice in the same season.
Bullshit.
Oh my god, I can't even. This fucking guy over here. I'm trying to create
Hold
a
on.
good segment, and you're just fucking
I'm
killing
sorry.
it.
I don't want to fuck
You're
up
killing
the segment.
it at every fucking turn. This could have been a fucking 3-minute segment. It would have been actually good, but you killed it everywhere.
That makes me feel bad.
It should make you feel bad.
Oh. I don't want to fuck up the segment. You actually had a segment going?
No, but it could have been one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
It could have been a cool little thing, like, oh, well, like, how bad would you have to be like as half as bad as the best team ever? I mean, you have to be historically bad and double that, and you'll still be better.
so I don't see how the
then,
Astros
like-
fans can like attack my Twitter when their team.
Well, the point is to
that.
not get them to attack your Twitter. The point is to be like, to get them to leave you the fuck alone.
I don't care about that. Any Astros fan can tweet to me. Not that you guys can hear this or see this because you're not allowed to watch a podcast. I'm sorry, but if you were allowed to watch a podcast, I would say, listen to this. I would say,
My God. We just crush this whole thing and then get my finger down to the end of it.
Shut up.
Oh my God. It's lit already. You don't need to light it again. Oh my Lord. This fucking guy right now.
I'm just worried it's
Oh
not
my
lit
God.
anymore.
It's totally fucking lit. Yeah, I'm fucked up.
All right, so we're no longer a semi-drunken Yankee fan wait, no. Okay, so it's no longer
It's no longer a drunken and a semi-drunken A's fan. That's the point that matters.
it's no longer like a drunken Yankee fan and a
more
semi-drunken
like,
A's
more
fan.
like a drunken
More
and
like a-
high
they're-
Yankee and A's fan.
Yeah, more like we're both drunken and high.
I'm still more sober than he is, but that's just because
Because he's an A's fan, he's more
I have
naturally
more-
sober.
No, I'm just more of a
A Yankee fan is more naturally
It's
drunk
more like
and
naturally
high.
have a touch to base than he does because he's, Yankee
Bullshit.
fans are delusional.
Bullshit.
They're
Yeah, so Yankee fans are
They're
delusional.
delusional.
I don't think so. You're stupid. Well, what do you think, the DH or the pitch clock?
they're both stupid.
They're both stupid.
I mean, like not the DH is stupid, but the non.
oh yeah, the non-DH. Yeah, that's
is
stupid. Yeah, totally.
And the pitch clock is obviously stupid for multiple.
Nobody
reasons.
wants that.
I mean,
Nobody actually wants that.
That's just dumb.
Yeah, but you know what? They want to do it because they think it's gonna. They think it's gonna create more money.
Hey,
for
let me
them.
put it this way: have you ever gone to a baseball game and been like, "Hey, you know what this baseball game could use? Less baseball." Like, no one's ever said that in their life, ever. If you had a pitch clock, there's no way you could have the pitch clock running while there's a guy on base. So immediately, whenever there's someone on base, the pitch clock becomes pointless. So the only time, if you're adding a pitch clock, you're actually going to have it is when nobody's on. And that's guaranteed the first runner of every inning, or half inning, and a couple of other batters. But once you get someone on, it's gone. And that's, if someone's, I mean, unless there's a double play, that means the rest of the half inning, there's not going to be a pitch clock. It's going to save maybe 4 minutes. Famous tweet over the last couple of weeks that I'm sure if you're watching this, you've seen, is the person saying, yes, taking his son to a baseball game in 2034 and saying, yes, I remember this game. When this game would have been 2 hours and 54 minutes and it was only 2 hours and 58. It's like, who cares? Like, 4 minutes at that point doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, unless you're going to drastically change the game that makes a 4-hour game a 3-hour and 15-minute game, which is impossible to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no actual change to the game you can make for it to be that drastic in time. So just leave it as it is. Like, you either like baseball or you don't.
Right.
It's just you can't. You
They're trying
can't
to
change
force
it
it.
now. Like, there's no magical snap your finger decision that's going to fix it for millennials. Like, something like that sounds like a great idea, but when you look at the applicable situations, it's not. It's a couple of minutes, which means that it's a fraction of the time you want to cut off. They want to turn these 4-hour games that have been a big deal since the mid 2000s.
They're not 4-hour games though.
But
they're not 4-hour games.
Here's what
I think that's such a huge mischaracterization.
I understand that, and here's what comes into people's heads: is ever since the early to mid 2000s, the Yankees Red Sox thing has turned into. I understand.
Those are 4-hour games. Yes, they are.
I understand, but that's what people have in their brain: is that they have these nationally
not
televised games.
anymore. Not anymore.
No, they do though.
No.
They have these games that are 3.5 to 4 hours long in their head, minimum. And
oh my god.
they want to cut them down to 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I mean, whenever we watch a Yankee Red Sox game, it's always over 4 hours long.
Those games are long, I know.
But that's not
that's not representative of to every baseball game. Like, most baseball games are not even, like, they're 75% of that.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
long.
Is that's the example. So let's just take the average baseball game. Let's say
the average
3 hours and 9 minutes, or 3 hours and 29 minutes. I think it's like 3:09, 3:19, something like that.
Yeah.
Let's take that and let's knock 4 minutes off. That doesn't make a difference. In order to drastically change the time frame in which they want to change, which is the point of this conversation, you have to take multiple different stances and be a hard ass on them. You have to not toe the line. You have to put your fist down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even this argument we're talking about is 3 to 5 minutes a game. Probably not even that.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not even that, because the only time a guy usually takes a long time in between pitches is when there's a guy on base at any point in the game. And so he never usually takes a minute to throw a pitch when there's nobody on. It never happens.
Well, you know what else? Look at when these games become long. They become long in the later innings because the game is close and everybody's making more trips to the mound. Everybody's making more pitching changes.
So that's the argument about the. I think that's the argument about the number of pitching changes or the number of mound visits you can have when there's less innings left in the game. We're like, yeah, we got to micromanage every situation.
You got to do it.
Oh, there's a lefty coming up. We got to put a righty in them.
Yeah. So you are changing by nature the way the second half of the game operates. Everything is way more stressful, especially if nobody scored in 8 innings. If both teams went 8 innings and scored nothing.
I don't think I also don't agree with the other change they want to make, where they limit the amount of mound visits or limit the amount of.
I don't want to change any of that.
Or forget about.
That's my opinion.
Limiting the amount of times you can change a pitcher, because that's another argument. Because here's the deal.
Yeah, all that stuff is bad. I think you agree with that, right? Everybody here agrees with that.
Everyone talks about player safety now. Forget about just baseball, but every sport. We talk about player safety, and we talk about making sure that players are stretching well and they're warming up correctly and blah, 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 so they don't actually hurt themselves for the long run or for their own personal lives. And yet, here we're talking about limiting the number of mound visits or number of times you can change your pitcher. I mean, if you're limiting mound visits, that's going to, yes, it may require you to warm up a pitcher faster, but if you're the manager, you're thinking, I'm going to get him in no matter what. So if I start warming him up late, I'll just throw him in, and
they'll find loopholes.
There's not even a loophole. It's
yeah.
Oh, well, he didn't get warmed up enough. I'm throwing him anyway.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So
fucking
that's the whole point of the argument now is
all these changes are unnecessary.
One mound visit per pitcher per inning. The only way to drastically change the play time that we're currently at is to drastically change the way the game is played.
Yeah, right. I agree with that.
That means
we don't want that.
That
though.
means changing
Nobody wants
statistics. That means changing everything that we already know and love about this.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
No.
Honestly, again, it comes down to the very beginning argument in which you fucking put your head in your hands and started laughing. Is nobody's ever gone to a baseball game and said, man, you wouldn't know what would have made that greater? Less baseball. Like, nobody's ever fucking said that. No one ever. If you don't like baseball, then you don't like baseball. Like, the game's not going to become more appealing. Look, here's the deal. I don't particularly like soccer, but look, if the game lasted 30 minutes instead of an hour and a half, you wouldn't find me saying, "Oh yeah, I like soccer more."
What if people were trying to change soccer to appeal to you?
That's what I'm saying.
That wouldn't do any good.
That's what I'm saying. You would have to change so much of the sport, not just the time, but you got to change other areas of the sport.
You're trying to reach out to more fans that are going to like it anyway.
Changing the time, changing the length of the sport doesn't mean that you're going to appeal to more people.
It's stupid.
There aren't people out there that are like, man, I would like baseball if only it were half as long as it was before.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. If there are, you're not going to gain more of those fans than you are going to lose fans by changing the sport.
Totally. I feel like this is so fundamental. It's so fundamental.
It's so great.
If you don't like baseball, you are not going to like it if it's half as long as it is now. I guess they want it to be more appealing to people.
But it can take its rightful place again as number one. But that's because
I feel like
because the NFL will stab itself in the foot.
Yeah, I feel like everybody needs to stop. Everybody needs to stop freaking out. Like, dude, baseball and every other sport I think goes through ways like this.
They go look, baseball was number one at one point, dude. Yeah, and that's just the way it is. Like football did a great job with
the steroid era. Baseball got bigger, and now it's.
Football did a great job at marketing itself as a sport, and it's done such a good job at that. But they've had so many things go against them that eventually, you could see them take it. the biggest thing they have going for them is the amount of games, and that's something that baseball will never change either. There are just things working against baseball that it can never change.
Yeah.
And so it just needs to understand that it will never be the number one sport. And that's not a problem because, honestly, it's the number one regional sport of anything I know.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the deal. You go to San Francisco, you might find some Oakland fans there, but that's just because of proximity. But if you go to San Francisco, you'll find New York Giants fans. You'll find New York Jets fans. You'll find Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You'll find Oakland Raider fans. You'll find LA Rams fans. Yeah, but
football's just like that, though.
But that's the thing. You have to understand as a baseball fan.
Baseball's more regional.
And baseball is that it's regional, and you bleed and die by
purple
most
for
of
the
time,
Vikings.
Majority of the time,
bleed and die purple.
You bleed and die by your regional team.
See, I'm a big Yankees fan, but you guys never knew that I was a big Vikings fan.
Shut up.
I'm a giant Vikings fan. Nobody ever saw that coming. It's a plot twist.
He's a liar.
Vikings, fuck the Eagles.
We live in California. His dad's a Raiders fan.
Whatever. I'm just kidding. Okay.
His dad's actually an A's fan too, but you wouldn't know by his little giant shrine he's got growing in his office.
Well, fuck the Giants, fuck the A's.
Point is
Yankees.
Baseball has to understand its niche.
Best
it really
team
does
in history,
and it has such a great niche that it should just embrace it.
If baseball's declining, then I think the smartest thing to do is just wait until it starts being popular again, because I think it's just a natural thing that certain things go through, and I think just wait a couple years and more people will be liking baseball again. We don't need to do anything weird like change the time of anything or change the amount of innings or limit trips to the mound.
If they change the number of innings, that's gonna that would just be that's a drastic change to the sport itself.
I've heard some people suggest that 1-2 should be a full count.
That's dumb.
2 strikes, 3 balls. I've heard that.
No, that's dumb.
I've heard that.
That's fucking
1-2
stupid.
is a full count.
That's dumb.
I know that is so bad. I feel like that is even getting deeper.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That means you can take one pitch to see what the guy's throwing at you, and all of a sudden you're 1 strike away from a strikeout.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's why it's horrible.
When the guy can throw 4 or 5 pitches, and you can only take 1 pitch, you've got to be kidding me.
You got to be able to take 2 pitches.
The guy can throw anything at you and get you out.
Absolutely.
That's almost a guarantee
it's ridiculous.
out 1/3 of the way through the lineup.
Yeah.
No. No.
1-2 is a full count,
God.
dude. How horrible is that? That is ridiculous.
That's all logic. Out the window.
Yeah.
It's gone. No, it's gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of shitty things that people want to do. I think, and a lot of people may vehemently disagree with me on this, but I think that the electronic strike zone should be a reality. I think that's a great change that baseball could use. I don't think these other changes about a pitch clock and trips on the mound and limiting innings or limiting pitches, I think all that kind of stuff to constrain the pitcher is a bad idea, because you want to watch a pitcher doing his best work. You want to watch him going in there and doing his art, That's kind of how I see it as. So you don't want to constrain the artist. I think he should have time. I think he should have space.
If you want to follow the most progressive idea and the most progressive plan for the electronic strike zone.
Okay.
You can follow Eric Burns, the former baseball player. He's the guy you see on MLB Network. He's at Burns22. He does do a thing every year, a big group thing every year, and it actually got a lot of recognition this year. I think this was the 5th year he's done it, where he puts up a game, and the game is played by former Major League Baseball players that believe in the electronic strike zone, and they play a game against each other, and they use the electronic strike zone, and
cool.
there's a lot of stuff with it every year.
Dude,
The big thing they added this year was the differentiation in. I think it was added this year, or last year. The differentiation from batter to batter. Whereas each batter that came into bat had their own specific strike zone that was applied only to their bat based on their height.
That's how it should be.
That's
how it should
the
be.
rule in the rule book. I mean, obviously, Altuve and Judge have different strike zones. Judge can be way bigger.
For extreme examples, there.
Yeah, that's why I picked them. Yeah. So was either last year or this year. I think it was last year. That was the first one that they actually were able to incorporate it for each different batter during the game. They're making big strides every year. Like I said, it's at Burns 22. As a first baseball player I ever really loved. He does a thing every year for it, and he's a big proponent of the electronic strike zone.
I'm a big proponent of the electronic strike zone too. So if you are, and if you're anybody who kind of like watches baseball, and you watch the World Series even though your team's not in it, and if the strike zone is bad, it makes you angry. I don't see why we all shouldn't get together and rally behind that. No matter what team, whether you're a fan of a good team like the Yankees.
I had this somewhere. I've been looking for it since I sat down like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, so we're, as you can imagine, very drunk because we're basically at the end of this podcast.
Oh, man, shit face. We're a whole bottle in plus.
I know, but we gave the podcast to you, just to say what we think about what's going on, and it's the end. So peace the fuck.
Oh my lord.